Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We've seen a handful of new leaks surface recently in regards to some future updates here in Warzone and Modern Warfare 3. Some of them give us some insight into some very promising updates. Others give us some insight into some updates that we might have initially been excited about, but now don't look nearly as promising. Some rough news here and there. So kind of the mix of everything. We got the good, we got the bad, lots to break down here. Initially, as we do jump right into the leaks, I want to preface by saying these are still just leaks until Call of Duty says something official, until it pops up on a roadmap or in some patch notes or anything like that. These things are subject to change, be scrapped, altered in any way, shape, or form. So take everything here with a grain of salt. As far as the sourcing goes, pretty much the usual suspects here. Bob Network over on Twitter, as well as forward leaks for the majority of this information here today. So initially, we actually have a couple of teases as to what could be some potential season 4 content here for multiplayer at least, and that is the return of the IMS kill streak initially here. You may recall the IMS is something we've had in a couple of Call of Duties previously, way back in the original MW3, and then also in Call of Duty Ghosts. I want to say those were the only two, at least off the top of my head. But yeah, this is another sort of ground protection based streak, similar to the bouncing Bettys or the cluster mines or the suppression mines. We have a lot of these things that are ground deployed, very obnoxious to run into in the game already, and the IMS seems to be stacking on top of that. So if you are a run and gun style player, oftentimes just jumping into buildings or choke points with no care in the world, you're probably going to run into this a lot and be a little bit frustrated by it. This could also maybe even make its way into Warzone as well, where I imagine to be pretty impactful too, especially in late game choke points and stuff like that. But yeah, the IMS does seem to be returning here in a future seasonal update, potentially as early as season 4. Now, another multiplayer based leak is actually a change to the war mode. Obviously, we have this as a standard multiplayer mode, and we have since launch on a couple of unique map based missions where you're escorting something from point A to point B, and it's its own sort of experience, I guess you could say. Well, it appears that they actually might be working on a 9v9 version of War that's going to be, taking place on different maps and sort of have an alternative to that mode in specific. Kind of interesting that they would go the route of adjusting various other, sort of off-brand modes, I guess you could say, as opposed to 6v6. The devs did mention in our last call with them that they don't really focus on too much outside of 6v6 now because they want to give players as much core content as possible. That's why we're not seeing a ton of updates for ground war, for example, here. So adjusting war kind of is a little bit out of left field, but it also could be an interesting twist on the mode there. Obviously, at the end of the day, it really just makes it more chaotic. Instead of being 6v6, it turns into 9v9, and there's a little bit more action everywhere on the map. So keeping my eyes out for that one for sure. We then get into some more interesting leaks, I guess you could say. Like I alluded to at the start of the video, not every leak here today is something that I necessarily want to keep my eyes out for because it's just not all that fun. The initial leak here is in regards to zombies, obviously a mode that has not received all that much attention as of late. It launched, I thought it was a ton of fun, was having a blast grinding out my zombies camos, was really looking forward to seeing how the mode would evolve over the seasons, and it really hasn't. One of the more promising leaks, though, that we've had, in the files for some time, we've talked about for some time, is the fact that PvP could be coming to zombies as maybe like an LTM or as just a core mechanic over time. So it wouldn't just be you fighting zombies and other players just existing. You'd actually be able to go through and fight other players. So very similar to DMZ style gameplay, there would just be zombies in the mix, which would be very chaotic and I think could pose for some very fun moments. However, according to the game files, it doesn't seem like this PvP LTM or PvP update to zombies is getting any more support. The files have not changed in some time according to the data miners and various different leakers in the community, so it just may not be a thing any longer, which I think is a bummer. I think it's very clear that zombies is not going to see many significant updates from now until the end of the MW3 life cycle, and then we move on into Gulf War where we're going to have like actual emphasis on zombies with round based and obviously Treyarch leading all of it. So to see one of these updates that really could have changed things for the remainder of the year potentially not actually end up coming to fruition, definitely a bummer in my opinion. Now, there's still an off chance that maybe they just haven't updated those files in a long time. Maybe it does come in season 4 or season 5. That'd be cool, but if you were someone who was anxiously awaiting that, you might want to, temper your expectations some, unfortunately. But that's not the only concerning news we have courtesy of leaks. The next bit of info is in regards to the Car 98K. And as we get into this conversation and the remainder of the video, quick reminder, if you are new to the channel or you simply have not subscribed yet, every single day I got you covered with all things going on in COD, so feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. And if you enjoy the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. It is always really appreciated and it does help the channel grow. But as you may have heard, since the launch of Season 3, a new weapon was found in the files, and yes, it is the Car 98K Sniper/Marksman Rifle. One of the most iconic weapons in Call of Duty, and definitely the most iconic sniper in Warzone's history, and there's been a lot of hype lately. Oh man, the car is returning in Season 4, at least that's when it's rumored to be returning or leaked to be returning. That's going to be a game changer, going to be a ton of fun. Well, it seems like as more and more files have been data mined, the Car 98K may not be the actual OG that we all know and love from obviously MW 2019. Instead, it could be the Car 98K from Vanguard. Now, it is still the Car 98K. It's a new sniper. It's probably going to see a lot of hype behind it, and I'd be pretty surprised if it wasn't one-shot capable just because it is the car and it has such a history with Warzone. But that's definitely not, I think, the most exciting news. I think a lot of players were very excited to get that nostalgia feeling of going back to the original car from Warzone 1 and from MW 2019. But if it's the Vanguard car, I mean, it makes sense. It's Sledgehammer doing it, and Vanguard was their game. But it's definitely not the news I wanted to hear about the Car 98K, that's for sure. And then lastly here, when it comes to the leaks, this one at least is a little bit more promising. So the gas mask obviously is always a topic in the Warzone community. Dating back to Warzone 1, we all didn't like the gas mask animations. They evolved it over time to be a lot more convenient and less obnoxious, less obtrusive in the middle of a gunfight when it stops you from shooting. So they've evolved it over time. We've gone backwards at times as well when it comes to the gas mask upgrades and quality of life things for it, like throughout Warzone 2. And even now in Warzone 3, there's awkward situations where it's annoying to have to stow it and then manually go in and put it on. There's issues going on now that COD Updates is actually investigating where the gas mask is not even protecting you in the gas, it's still depleting and you're taking normal damage, so it's just straight up not working. But according to Bob Network, Raven appear to be working on something, a new setting or a new option that would actually allow your gas mask to function as it does now, where you have to manually put it on and you equip it right away, or you have to stow it and manually equip it at a later time. Or it would just auto-equip when you entered the gas and it would auto-remove when you exit it, similar to Warzone 1. I think that would be a huge and welcome update for that specific element of gameplay for the gas mask here. Again, though, like I said, it is a little bit frustrating when it's something that we had well received back in Warzone when we got to a point where it's like, okay, gas mask animation seems to be doing okay here. It's not nearly as crazy annoying as it was before. And then we reset, and now we're having to go through this update again and work to find a balance between what works well and what flows well with it and what is a little bit too, powerful in terms of what it's doing to you automatically in game. So hopefully we see some solid quality of life updates with the gas mask here soon. Obviously, if we see any patch notes, any changes mentioned about that, or anything here becomes official, I'll have you guys with the need to know info right as it surfaces. So feel free to hit that subscribe button to guarantee you're always up to date. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and drop a like on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.